First, actually, just do some of the super chats because we're just tuning in, actually. So, because some of these are topical. Mount will be the preseason Perlo. That could happen.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
It really could happen. I've seen it before. Scott, years ago, the best ever preseason performance levels I ever seen was Tom Cleverley back in the summer. I think it was of 20. Whenever we lost the second Champions League finals to Barca, 2011, the summer of 2011 going into 2012. Honestly, I saw him play. We played Barca again in preseason. He dominated. Yeah, it does happen.
He had a good glow up, Tom Cleverley, for about a year because he played in the Olympics. In fact, I was down one of my local pubs last night, and as I was walking out, I saw Lee Hendry sat having a drink, and my daughter was like, "Oh, who is he?" Because his son goes to my school, and he never shuts up about how his dad. And I went, yeah, he was a good footballer. It was short lived. He ended up playing for England and everything, and it was sort of all over in 12 months in the sense of he had this sort of Tom Cleverley 1 year where everyone was like, "Oh, he's going to be amazing," and then not that they didn't have a good career, but they sort of had that 1 year where it was just like, "Oh, they're going to be brilliant," and then it just didn't quite happen.
Yeah, I remember the branch I remember the branch I was in, and where is in Kingston Road in East London. And I remember coming down the stairs. I just had a little promotion. I was like, "Oh, really happy." And I remember I went downstairs, and there's all these cashiers cashing up their tills for the day. I said, "Terry, I need to ask you a football question. We know you're a United fan, but can you be unbiased?" And I've always been unbiased. And this was the question: who do you think's better, Tom Cleverley or Jack Wilshere? And I laughed because I was like, "How are we doing it?" Jack Wilshere was such the better football player, but Tom Cleverley, as you say, had a little bit of a glow up for a year or so. Josh here, one of our members of 63 months, says, "Cheers, lads. So glad to catch you guys live on the morning show. I'm actually in Paris with the wife. Everyone smash the like buttons. Preseason Perlo loading for these players." I love the fact you're in one of the most beautiful romantic cities in the world with your wife, and you're tuning into Mark and I. That's I feel privileged, Josh. That don't get in trouble though, me old mate. Don't get in trouble. I'm so glad you've super chatted, Ali. Ali Dembele over Sancho. I'm always right. This man atted me last night with an old clip from the Terrace that's on our Clips channel, saying, "I told you that Dembele was better than Sancho." I deleted the clip. I've had a bit of stick for it, but the reason I deleted it is because of you, Ali, because you are shameless. You, contextually, at the time, I would have still chose Sancho over Dembele. Dembele's doing great now. You love to post your W's and act like you're Nostradamus. And I love you, bro. You're a great guy. We always got on. I deleted it purely to wind you up, to take a W away, because you also don't ever share your comment when you said Eden Hazard to Real Madrid, he will show levels and he'll outperform Ronaldo and Bale at that club. You never post that. You never post any of the clips where you said the Glazers are not a problem at United and are great owners. You never post that. You never post the clips when you phoned into the Terrace and said that Erling Haaland will struggle to score more than 5 league goals in the Premier League. That's why I deleted it, because it's easy to pick and choose your W's and your L's, my friend. But big up for the super chat, Ali. Hope you're good. Panel, sad what happened to Liverpool during the celebrations. Yes. We all saw that. I know Mark tweeted, I tweeted, and many others. And, fingers crossed that nobody is seriously hurt. I haven't seen any updates this morning, to be fair, on that. And wishing everybody well and hopefully speedy recoveries for every single person involved. Mark got that "I don't give a fuck" look. Yeah, I do. I do. This morning, I'm just like, if you watch the United stand, I'm a little bit sort of, It's just being a United fan. I am actually excited in a general sense around the summer transfer window. Massive shout out for Liverpool for what they're doing. I expect Arsenal to follow, Chelsea to follow. It's just depressing what United are doing. No, I hear you, mate. Coach, by the way, it is a selective memory poster. And all my L's are on my Clips channel. People always go, "Terry, you never get clipped up." KJ posts multiple opinions of mine every single day. They're out there. Some are right, some are wrong. I leave them. But I only did it to Ali, or AKA iTest, that used to phone in, because he only wants to put posts up. When Haaland did 3, even this year where Isak's been better than Haaland, you're only talking about 1 goal. It's crazy. And I like Isak, by the way. And he was right. Ites was right about how good Isak was. But his overall claim was wrong because he said that Isak is so good, he's going to make Haaland look crap. And that claim ain't true, even though Isak's a good player. So it's not really a W. We've got to be fair about this. All right, let's go on to our first comments of the day. Now, this here is relating to, and now I can't find, this is relating to Liverpool. And this is from Adam Keys. It says, Liverpool have Frimpong, Kirkes all wrapped up and are about to sign Florian Wirtz. They are not messing around. Arsenal have work to do, a lot of work to do, and it needs to be done early. They are making a statement after winning the title. We need a huge summer. I think we'll all agree that the cities and the Arsenals will need a huge summer. Do these signings from Liverpool make them the favourites for next season already, in your opinion, Mark?
No, not really. I don't think so. I said a few weeks ago that I think Arsenal are going to win the league. Obviously, so much of that is dependent on the striker they bring in. I expect it to be Gyökeres, and I think that will be massively transformative. We saw with Liverpool last year, they didn't have any summer transfers, and the big signing was Slot. He had a pre-season with them, and they hit the ground running perfectly. He obviously is a manager, and I applaud this because it's not something that United have ever figured out, who realizes that if he has his players ready for pre-season, they'll be better prepared for the start of the season. It's almost like if you have a good pre-season, you'll have a good season. There's something about pre-season that has something to do with performing in the season that many clubs like United have not figured out. And obviously Slot is one of them managers that has said, look, I want these players. I want them in for July. Go and get them. And that's great. But what you got to remember is that Arsenal have got the best defense in the league. They've had that for the last 2 years, I think. They've still got the likes of Declan Rice. Zubimendi is going to be there for July. If they bring a striker in, which I'm sure they will do for July, they'll have a pre-season as well. So I think Arsenal are a very strong team. And I hope next season we're going to get a really good title race because I think Arsenal should have been closer to Liverpool, but because of numerous reasons, they weren't. But they don't need a lot of things, Arsenal. They just need that one thing, I think.
Yeah, look, I agree with the tweet that they need a big summer. Where I slightly disagree with yourself, I do think it makes Liverpool the favourites as of right now. But, and a lot of people are putting that pressure on Liverpool, you are the favourites. Yeah, right now, because they've pretty much got Wirtz, Frimpong and Kirkes over the line. However, we don't know what City are going to do. We don't know what Arsenal are going to do. And we don't know what Liverpool squad's going to look like at the beginning of the season because injuries do play a part. And touching wood, I don't wish injury on any player or any squad. But a couple of big important players hurt themselves in pre-season. We saw Real Madrid a couple of years ago, but they lost 2 or 3 players to cruciate injuries in the summer. So as of right now, I think it's fair to say Liverpool, as defending champions, are the favourites with these signings. But this is all going to change. And one thing I will say, and this is an apology I have for you, Mark, because for years, I used to call you out when you used to get annoyed over pre-season games. And I'd sit there and be like, who's this Pratt? Who's this Pratt from Prattsville, right? Who's our pre-season don't matter. It's just friendlies. The older I've got, the more I've realized, no, actually, with the way that the league has changed in the last decade and the fast starts you need, pre-seasons and being good at pre-season are really key. So, yeah, sorry for all those years of calling you a muppet for saying that because you were right.
Yeah, but I also think that pre-seasons are really important, but a lot of clubs disrespect them by chasing the money. I think if Man United spent 6 weeks before the start of the season never leaving Manchester and just playing local friendlies against Everton at Goodison and this, that, and the other, they'd be better prepared. The problem with pre-season now is it becomes a way to, make money and travel around as much as you can do all around the world, and that's not necessarily the best preparation. But the actual pre-season, as we saw with Liverpool and Slot last year, was massive. No one saw that coming.
No, I agree. I always remember that Arsenal pre-season 2022, where they ended that campaign where they bottled top 4. I remember there was a famous quote from Gary Neville that this is the best they'll ever be. And I also remember a lot of Arsenal fans saying, I don't think we'll ever make Champions League again. And they just looked in that pre-season of the summer of 22. They were just out of this world. And that was when I did the video. I thought Arsenal scare me, and I still stand by what I said in that. I said they become title contenders, and what my fear came from the fact that they were kind of in the mud with us, if not lower in the mud. And that's also probably what's made Man United's bad season even worse this year. Is that although Spurs came 17th, they did win a trophy. There hasn't been anybody else, any of the other big clubs, to kind of sit alongside us to take some of the attention away. It's purely been us. And that was what one of my biggest fears was. It was a team that was always the whipping boys, suddenly not being. Therefore, like, the focus is on you to not be bad in that same way. So, yeah, I think preseason is very, very important indeed. But excellent. How would you make of Wirtz to Liverpool? How well do you think he'll do in the Premier League if that deal completes?
Look, I think with Wirtz, he's a player that everybody would sign, but they might not necessarily know why. And what I mean by that is I think he's a really good talent, but obviously this is a big step for him. And I think Liverpool is probably the perfect place to go. I almost think Bayern might not have been the right move for him. I think at Liverpool, you're going to have to work ridiculously hard in that team. You've got a lot to prove in a team like that. They've got a lot of big players in a team like that. They've also got a fantastic manager. So I think ultimately it'll be hard for him not to be a success. But I'd be lying if I said I knew everything about Wirtz, because I don't spend a lot of time watching German football, if any. But I've seen bits of him, and I think that you would expect him to be a really good signing for Liverpool, and you would demand he is, because he's going to cost a lot of money. But it's a very big signing, and it's a statement signing as well, because I would have thought he would have been going to Bayern or maybe even City up until a year ago.